Night Before Dawn. Welcome back to my hardcore survival series. On day 11, I returned to the village with one thing on my mind. I was going to abduct a villager. I picked this farmer, I put my boat down, he got in, and I was on my way. We arrived at my compound without incident. And my villager unloading room worked like a charm. Back at the village, I attacked their iron golem. I ran to a spot that I thought was safe. I towered up, but when I turned around, he was right there on top of the building beside me. So I fled to a new location. I towered up there, and this time he couldn't quite get close enough. So I took him out. I was about to go to sleep when I noticed another golem had spawned. And I turned, and there was a zombie right there in front of me. In an effort to prevent any more from spawning, I ran to the nearest bed I could find. First thing on day 12, I attacked their iron golem. I ran and found a spot to tower up. But I was too fast for him, and he lost interest. I tried again, and this time he followed me, exactly how I wanted him to. And I was again victorious. Then a baby villager showed up, so I put him in a boat. But he happened to be in a terrible spot, so I had to move him the hard way. While I was working on it, he grew up. I cleaned up my mess, it got dark, and so I went to bed. The next morning, I got in my boat and we were headed off to home, where I released the little guy into my compound, where he immediately signed up to become a farmer. I finally crafted myself some iron armor. The only thing I couldn't get was the boots. I gave them 2 more beds, and now it was the end of the day, so I went to sleep. Day 14 was spent breaking and re-breaking the composter for the farmer so that I could get him to have the right trades. I wanted him to have potatoes and bread. He finally got the trade I wanted, but it took most of the day. So I locked him in. I fed my new villagers some bread in hopes that they would breed. I headed over to that dungeon I found in episode 1. It turns out it was a spider spawner. It turns out my villagers had a baby. I chopped some wood till nightfall and went to bed. Days 15 and 16 were spent working on my spider farm. And so was day 17. This guy showed up in the morning of day 18, but his trade sucked. Then, after a little messing around, I set off on adventure. Off in the distance, I spotted a desert temple. And right next to it was a pillager outpost. First, I looted the desert temple, then the pillager outpost. Night fell, and as I was running home, I came across a village. But it was nighttime, so I just ran home. It was nice to be back home in my cave for the night. In my excitement to explore the new village, I forgot to empty my inventory. So when I arrived, I had to put down a chest just to be able to store all the excess junk I had. There were enough hay bales to feed me for the next 50 days at least. I also found a whole bunch of watermelons. Those ought to come in handy. I found their iron golem and decided I had to subdue him. The village had an astounding 6 cartographers. After a full day of looting, I gathered up what I could of my stuff and headed home for the night. I started to head home, but I was going the wrong direction. I was heading towards the sunset. I had to turn to the right. The effect this had on my path home made it so I walked right past a ruined portal. But I made it home and went straight to sleep. And finally, on the morning of day 20, I set up some more chests and I started organizing my inventories. Then I went and sat on a horse's back until it loved me. This sucked. And I earned an achievement. Best friends forever. There were 2 more, and the second one was the best. So I made my new friend a pen. I think he likes it. And now it's bedtime.